The Honorable Chief Justice and Associate Justices of the Supreme Court.
The House will come to order.
The Senate will come to order.
Okay, this has to do with judges and elections, and this bill tries to remedy several what I perceive to be problems. First problem is that we have a lot of activist judges, and more every day it seems like, that are making rulings that are totally contrary to the people of Arizona and other states with no accountability whatsoever. And while I understand what the founders were trying to get at, I don't think they intended it to be impervious to the will of the people. So this is an attempt to bring the judicial back into some accountability with the people. We do it in the rural counties. Judges stand for elections. Nobody that I'm aware of in the judiciary has suffered from that. As a matter of fact, it's made them more accountable to the people. They're closer. They have to kind of stay in touch with the norms. And I think it would be a positive thing for that to happen in some of the big cities in a number of ways. But that's the thrust of the bill, and I'll stand for questions.
Senator Shooter, you indicated this issue about activist judges. Can you state any cases in which our Supreme Court has voted in a way that you believe that they would be activist?
Now, you scare me a little bit, because Mr. Chairman, you scare me a little bit because you're teeing this up. But I don't know if I'm just opening the noose for me to put it in there or what. It scares me a little bit. But yeah, I think the Supreme Court reached in where it had no business, and I think it did it on the IRC ruling. You can't show me anywhere in that Constitution where the Supreme Court is mentioned. And they reached in our chamber, and I believe overreached into our chamber, and I think that those kind of actions shouldn't go without some kind of consequences. So this is one of the consequences that I would propose, and I think that this bill speaks to the honor of the Senate, and so I guess we'll see if we have any. Well, here we are again. This is another attempt to try to salvage some honor, and it's an extreme attempt, I understand that, but somebody needs to push back. You talk about checks and balances, and everybody talks about it. I mean, you can walk in the hallways and everybody complains about it, but then when somebody stands up and does something, it's under the bus, and that's okay. I mean, I'm willing to go under the bus. But it just seems to me that you got to pick one side of this or the other. Either everything is peachy or stand up and do something about it. I've chosen to stand up and do something about it. So when something happens the next time, because it will, because you folded on this one, I'll be all right with it. So having said that, that's where I'm coming from.
Senator, if you need a tour of the bottom of the bus, I can lead that tour for you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Questions for the bill sponsor?
Getting pretty familiar with the bus.
Questions for the bill sponsor. Senator Driggs.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Senator Shooter.
Yes, sir.
I'm guessing what the problem is, but how does this solve the problem?
Well, as you can see, we do have some attention. And we are kind of making a statement with this if we were to proceed with it. And I think that would be some of that checks and balances we talk about but seldom do. And so this is an opportunity to do a little pushback. And yet we won't even do that. I mean, so that's all it is. It's just a way to maybe say you really shouldn't be doing this, you really shouldn't. And if you can't police yourselves, maybe we have to police you. So that's those checks and balances we all talk about in civics class. And when it comes down to doing it, it's 4-3 for fold them up. So that's what I think.
Further questions for the bill sponsor? Senator Gallardo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Shooter, I understand where you're coming from, but I mean, by reducing the number of judges, are you reducing the amount of the workload?
I think not. I think we're making the workload much more significant. And what the reason behind that is if they're busy doing legitimate work, maybe they wouldn't be messing around inside the Senate chambers. My opinion.
Thank you, Mr.
They obviously have too much time on their hands.
Further questions for the bill sponsor, Senator Shooter? Senator Lujan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Shooter,
Yes, sir.
by reducing the amount of judges, as you mentioned, you're also going to create a backlog in the Court of Appeals. My impression of the Court of Appeals and other lawyers that I've ever litigated with say that the Court of Appeals is a very efficient court, and I noticed the Arizona Chamber of Commerce are against this particular piece of legislation because I think will have an impact on businesses across Arizona because a number of cases that impact businesses get heard in the Court of Appeals, things that are very important to their bottom line, and to have cases tied up for a longer period of time in the Court of Appeals is going to have a very negative impact on businesses across the state. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, Senator Lujan, there's probably some truth to what you say, but I also believe that businesses will be adversely affected by 10 years of liberalism brought about by an IRC that's out of control. So I have a significant problem with the consequences of that. And I think not only 10 years, but 5 years legacy years after we come in and clean the mess up. So that's my opinion.
Further questions for the bill sponsor? Hearing none. Thank you, Senator.